Do you know what never happened when Charlie and I got married? We never not got married. Von and Nick took forever to get married officially. And the fact that way back on Vanderpump Rules, Tom Schwartz and Katie never bothered to get officially married.
Welcome to Sunday Lunch, Reality Served, where we discuss reality TV, pop culture, and what distracted us this week. Hello, Jessie.
Hello, Sophie.
How are you?
Oh, I'm good. It's Friday afternoon. We've both just watched the OC episode 2. We have full cups. We're excited. What are we talking about today?
Well, today's the day we get to share a very big, exciting announcement. So we will start our podcast off with that. We will also be chatting the final episode of In the City. We will be talking about OC episode 2. We'll be chatting about the Real Housewives of London season 2 announcement, as well as what's been distracting us this week and our recommendations. So I think we've got a bit to chat about today.
Oh, it is. It's a fun episode. And so we can get to our exciting announcement, which is so exciting. Sophia and I have been dying to tell you guys about this. What is in your cup today, Sophie?
Sorry to be a bit boring, but I am back on the hydrolyte. I think my blood is 90% hydrolyte at this stage, but I'm obsessed and it's good for me. What's in your cup, Jessie?
Well, equally boring iced coffee. I had planned to have Coke Zero because, guys, we're now recording on a different day and a little bit later because of the OC. So normally it's my Coke Zero time, but I drank it all before we started recording because I'm an idiot.
Well, I thought the same thing, but then I also thought, I was like, gosh, now that we record in the afternoons, I could have a wine. It is a Friday afternoon, but we do have a special side dish episode coming up that we're going to record, so maybe we can have a wine with that.
Let's do that, and then God knows what we'll say. The edit on the wine episode is going to be epic.
Yes, could be wild, or maybe we'll just hit, go and just leave it as it is. That could be extra wild.
Why not? Let's see. Well, Sophie, I want you to make the announcement because it was your idea, and I'm so pumped to hear you tell everyone.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so even it wasn't necessarily my idea. I just, found it on Instagram. You're the one that really made it happen. But the very exciting news for us is that we together are going to go to Hayu FanFest in Sydney. Yay! And so what that is it's celebration of 10 years of Hayu in Australia. They have the most amazing sort of celebs, reality TV stars going, and we have actually been able to get VIP access, which means we should be able to interview some of the most incredible. I can't believe they're coming. I mean, who wouldn't want to come to Australia, I suppose? They probably all put their hand up for this one. But should we run through the list of who's going to be there?
Yes, please run through the list. And guys, you have to give us your questions if we are lucky enough to get a moment to ask people your favorite Bravo celebrity that's coming. Please pop on our Instagram a question we should ask them. But Sophie, take it away.
Absolutely. Okay, so first of all is Cynthia Bailey, which is crazy because we were just talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta season 1 last week. There is actually a 2-part connection there for me with her. So I won't go into this much detail with everybody, but Craig Conover is going to be there from Southern Charm, from Summer House, from Winter House. We have Captain Jason Chambers from Below Deck Down Under. We've got the DJ Meredith Marks. I can't believe she's going to be there. And she's actually going to be doing a DJ set that we get to go to. I think maybe her and someone else who's coming, Dorinda Medley. The Dorinda Medley is going to be there. I think they're doing a DJ set together in the evening.
Can I interrupt? That is going to be the messiest DJ set that we've ever seen. If they wanted a professional DJ set, they should have got Carl from Summer House, Carl Cook, but they got Dorinda Medley. I mean, I'm sure she'll give us a medley of greatest hits. See what I did there? And Meredith Marks, honestly, I just hope she wears one of her signature blazers. I'll be very disappointed if she doesn't.
And her sunglasses. No, she's been DJing everywhere from what I can see. So I think that should be amazing. I actually went to a DJ set once with Brody Jenner. Do you remember Brody Jenner from the
My God, that guy. He used to be so hot. Everyone loved him. And now we're all like, ooh, he's Sad bachelor man.
Yes, but he was fairly good. So I mean, the celebrity DJ is not a terrible thing. Juliet Mayhew from Real Housewives of London, who's also an Aussie, so I think that'll be super cool to meet and chat to her. Alexia Napola from Miami. Oh my gosh, there's so much going on with her at the moment in terms of her husband slash ex-husband, not husband. If she was to bring like her sons, it could be a whole thing. And then we've got Shep. So Shep Rose from Southern Charm, he and Craig, sometimes friends, sometimes frenemies. It'll be amazing to see Shep. And he can also get quite loose at the Bravo cons, but I think he's on like a real, life transformation at the moment. So it'll be interesting to see what shape Shep is in.
See, I did watch the first season very many years ago of Southern Charm, and I was in my toxic era. So before I had therapy, before I met Charlie, very long time ago, and I was like, damn, Shep is like who I would choose. Like, he's cute. And then literally as it went on, I was like, no, Jessica, take yourself to therapy. Because as you guys may have noticed with Kenny, with Shep, with many of these problematic Bravo men, toxic era Jessica, who didn't realize that she could value herself, found them all quite attractive. And now I see them, like, you see them go through these horrific, like, the way they treat their girlfriends, they can't like settle down. But I feel like Shep, and I could be wrong, is maybe going through a bit of a Carl Radke style makeover. I think he's like trying to get his shit together, but I don't know if he's been successful. So maybe we should ask him.
Exactly. Yeah, he is, but I don't know if it's as successful as Carl. Yeah, when he was, I think first season him was fine. The problem at the time was that Senator, the Catherine Thomas Ravenel. So he was a toxic one in season 1, but it's now like 10 or something years later, and Shep has become into Thomas, or become Thomas. So I think that's more the concern.
And it's worrying. But I did notice, I think in the first season, yes, Thomas Ravenel was like, I was like, am I watching a real person or a caricature of a person? Is this person a real person? And he was, which was worrying. But also I did think Shep probably drank too much at the time, which does sound judgy of me. But obviously that's Jessica talking now in her mid-40s, who has one drink a week, versus when you're in your 20s and you're like, oh my God, I'm never going to stop drinking. So I do remember judging him a little bit on that. Whether that was fair or not, I don't know. But we are so excited for Hayu's FanFest. Shout out to NBC Universal Studios for making VIP tickets available to us after they sold out, after I begged and pleaded. You guys are the best. And we just
great, Jessie.
I did my absolute best. I always figure in life you might as well ask. That's my thing. You just ask. People can say no, that's fine. But if you ask, then at least you know that you've tried your best. And Sofie and I were just so excited that we can get to be together and do this as a fun little cousins trip. So we're super pumped.
And can I just ask quickly, do you know who you're most excited to meet?
Dorinda.
I thought you might say Dorinda.
Came out fast.
Clip. Okay.
Clip. She and I just love a dirty martini, filthy. That is completely my vibe. She's a Sagittarian, like my middle brother. And I see her when she's like so patient and so caring, and then she'll like give it to you harsh. And my middle brother is exactly the same. And so I'm like, oh, that's the Sagittarian in her. I'm really excited to meet her. And I feel like I know she's not an OG, but she is from the original Real Housewives of New York. She is iconic. She is problematic, but she is iconic. And I just want to stay at Bluestone.
Could you imagine? And I mean, she does give OG energy, even though she isn't necessarily one. She absolutely does. Same as Sonia does. I'm watching Traitors at the moment, the American Traitors with the girls, and Dorinda is on it. She's actually, they brought her back for a second season because she was exited so quickly from the first one. I actually said to the girls last night, I'm like, I get to meet her, and they were so excited. And she just shows up so well when she's not drinking. And on Traitors, they limit the alcohol, so she's actually showing up so well. The problem, I think, with New York was, they were all just, drinking so much at these parties, and then she wasn't always. I mean, that's when she was kind of iconic, but a little.
But we
messy.
can't really say that now, can we? But she was, and like, honestly, I remember them showing photographs of her being married to Richard. She looked like Princess Diana when she was younger. She had the short hair. I always loved her like cashmere jumpers that she wore. I just found her quite aspirational in a way that is probably not clear to other people. But I was like, you have this beautiful country home. You had the love of your life, which is very sad that he passed away, but she has a beautiful daughter and she seemed to be quite together. So she loves Law and Order SVU. I love Law and Order SVU.
So does Taylor Swift, Jessie. She's named both her cats after it. She's got a cat Meredith and a cat something else from SVU. See, I'll get you there one day.
Do you mean Mariska? I don't even know if she's got a cat's name right, if we're going to talk.
Yes, Mariska Hegarty. Is that it? Anyway, I can't pronounce it, but they've met. Oh, no, so I don't think, the cat's name's Olivia.
That makes more sense for Olivia Benson.
Yes. Yes. See? Good people with good taste. Moving on.
Moving right along, who are you most excited to see at FanFest?
Oh, I'm disappointed in myself, but I actually think it is Shep and Craig. Like, I think the Southern Charm boys.
Yeah.
I'm saying Craig like an American, because if we say, they don't say Craig. You're like, his name's Craig, but they say Craig. So anyway, we'll have to figure that out before we get there.
I've noticed that in movies where they're like Craig, and I'm like, what's a Craig?
Yeah, Craig. And I feel bad about that too, because he had quite a yucky separation from Paige, who I'm just a huge fan of. And apparently Paige might have got engaged in Italy this weekend, just gone. So I'm waiting to hear about that.
To who? Who's her boyfriend? I heard that too.
So she's been dating this guy, like very sort of under wraps, no photos of them really publicly. He's of Italian descent like her, but he's some big sort of sports, whether it's like a sports agent type thing in the States. I think like a lot of money comes from a really sort of well-to-do family, but they've been very, very private about it. So anyway, we'll be excited. We are excited to see whether just the fashion at the wedding would be amazing. I love Paige fashion.
Hope we get married in Italy too, because an Italian wedding is always beautiful. Well, speaking of hot Italians, let's move on to In the City finale and talk about our favorite Bravo boyfriend / husband, Andrea. Is he Italian?
Yes, he is. And did he slip into our DMs this week? Yes, he did.
Maybe he did. Maybe he did. Oh, please tell the story. Andrea, we love you. You are all green flags. We've been saying this from the start. You are just a lovely husband. You're always trying to explain to people what they're doing wrong in the kindest way possible, and they should listen to you.
Absolutely, they should. So this week's episode was very much, so it was the final episode. It was rounding out their trip to the country, Friendsgiving, and we just made a bit of a meme on our social media because Andrea was doing the tablescape, and as we can all appreciate, I particularly appreciate a good tablescape, and we just made a little meme and popped that on our socials, and straight away he'd liked it in the stories, wrote straight back and said thank you very much. Like, he's just such a sweetheart. So yes, thank you, Andrea. But yes, okay, on to the episode. Season finals, thoughts?
I loved it. I love In the City. I think it's freaking fantastic. And I thought this episode was so interesting. The one thing I want to say up front was I really appreciated Sophia also did a meme around the conversation between my boy Kenny and our boy Gavin when Kenny took him outside. Gavin has been sledging Kenny and Whitney a little bit. And like, to me, it's very much big brother, little brother energy. Like, they've been friends a really long. But Gavin kind of intruded on this particular scene, which we'll probably get to later with Whitney and Lindsay, and backed up Lindsay. And Kenny just finally took him outside and said, I want to talk to you directly about this because you're my closest friend, you're my ride and die, and you are continually having a go at me. And it was this incredibly beautiful and direct example of healthy male communication. Go, Kenny. Oh. And Gavin got really emotional. He's like, you're right, I'm doing it in public. Like, to me, I think Gavin forgot that all of this is being recorded to be I'm sure that he plays that joking role with Kenny all the time in private. But Kenny said, but you're doing this in public and you're also hurting my girlfriend, and I just want to know why. And Gavin was like, no, you're right. I've completely messed up. I love you. I'm going to stop doing it. And he cried, and I love to see that on TV in a supportive space, that Kenny made it okay for Gavin to have those tears and that they could make up and still be super close. How did you feel about that? You made a meme about it. So obviously you saw what I did.
I did because I saw that and I felt feelings. And then there was a really similar conversation in Next Gen NYC between Ariana and Riley, where there was just it was a difficult conversation to have, and they handled it beautifully. I think what I loved about it is watching Gavin process it in real time, because Kenny was saying to him, in group formats, these are the things that you've said, and he sort of listed off a few different things. And at the very start, Gavin was like, well, yes, I suppose if you group them all together, that probably doesn't sound good. But, you know me, I'm just making a joke, which he is. But he said, would you really think that I would be trying to take you down in any way? And, Kenny was just so good, because he said, I can't believe that I feel this way either, but this is sort of where we're at. And, when Gavin had been a little defensive, trying to say, like, you're trying to sort of pile all these things together when they've, been over months, etc. But then he just took a step back and he's like, oh, wow. Like, I see how you're feeling, and my intention was never to make you feel that. And actually, yes, I can see my 50% in that. And yes, I don't have a brother. You're the closest thing. And like you say, the tears. And I just love watching Gavin process it in real life, because we can't help but have an immediate, maybe defensiveness, but it was that, take a deep breath, decide who you want to be in this moment and how you want to show up. And I thought it was brilliant. And I think it was brave of Kenny. I wish Kenny would have maybe done it sooner. Yeah. And I do worry, because I do feel like Kenny's been a bit shady about Gavin in his interviews throughout, because he's obviously been feeling frustrated. So in the, whatever those interviews are called, I'm concerned that when Gavin sees those, they'll have another little bit of bargy, but I guess they'll cross that bridge when they get to it.
I agree. He has said a couple of shady things in confessionals about Gavin. Obviously, he was feeling frustrated. I really hope, and again, we've talked about this like last week with Lindsay and Yvonne, it is so tricky bringing your closest, your best friends onto reality TV. I say that like an expert, like I would know what that means.
Armchair experts.
We've been doing this for 10 years. It always causes a problem. And so far, I think both Gavin, Kenny, but also Yvonne, not being the kind of, because they're new to the reality game, they're still able to see their part in things. They're still able to say, you know what, you're right, and thank you for the apology, or I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take you down. This isn't part of a broader alliance thing that I'm doing to be popular with viewers, to play up to the comments on Reddit. They're still able to just see each other as the people they love. And you could see Gavin looking at Kenny and going, I love you, Kenny. You're right. I've messed up and I'm sorry. And his emotional reaction to that was beautiful, because it shows you how much he values their relationship. And so I agree. I don't want Kenny's shady remarks to then set them back again, because like, I don't know about you, and we can sort of talk about people love the drama of the housewives in these shows, but I also love the genuine friendships, and I love seeing them overcome problems together, have genuine deep conversations together, model healthy communication. To me, that's really compelling to watch.
Yeah, it's the depth of a real relationship with shared history and all the nuances that come with that, rather than, a cast that's just been, put together for the sake of a show. Like, you can see that these folks have been friends forever, which is interesting, because I feel as though we get this season one sort of naivety or, freshness. And it's like, will we get that with season two? Because you just gave me the aha of, there's a term that they use a lot in Vanderpump Rules and Now the Valley. Lala was talking about it this week about being in the comments, and she was just trying to say she cannot understand why Brittany and Kristen are so not Brittany. Sorry, why Kristen is just so, headstrong about defending Danny and Nia. And she goes, I can only think that it's because she's in the comments, because she knows that Danny and Nia had such a wonderful public reception the last couple of seasons that she wants to be on the right side of history with that. And I kind of love sort of that analogy to think that, you know, in the city, they're not doing that right now. They don't know the public reception or response to any of them. So they're being very genuine. I hope that they can continue to do that and they don't get in the comments. But it's always a season 2 risk.
It is. And I think you're absolutely right. And it's always disappointing when a show, I think it's part of the Valley's problem too. It's part of Beverly Hills' problem. I'm sensing it with the OC as well, is that it becomes stale when their cast lives in the comments. It becomes stale when they drag out one issue over multiple seasons. And I'm not saying the issue isn't important in the Valley. It is. It actually is. And, you know, there's been discussions that have been important, I think, for people to see. But overall, as a compelling show, I think when you're trying to second guess what the audience is going to do, you're right. They're not genuine and it doesn't come across as exciting to watch because you know that they're not being themselves. And we want to watch people being themselves. That's the magic of these shows, is that you get a bunch of unaware people just being themselves, and some of the villains, some of the clowns, some of the court jesters, some of the, you know, fan favorites, but we love them all because they're being themselves.
Yeah, and they're not playing a role just yet. Yeah, so we'll see. But it was a beautiful. They've done it twice, right? Like you said. So Yvonne and Lindsay were able to do it, and then the boys were able to do it this episode, which was, they were lovely examples of genuine relationships and difficult discussions, which I'm not great at. So I like to watch those and then imagine that I might be able to do that one day.
You know, I was watching them. I was like, this could go wrong. And then I was like, oh my gosh, they're both staying calm. They're both remembering that they love each other. This is so powerful. And can I also just shout out for my thirsty boy, Kenny, that when they showed that he has been hosting a Friendsgiving for 12 years, that he loves to do it. And he talked about how his friends are also his family. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kenny, we can be friends now because...
Oh, Jessie.
I feel the same way. I've come on a journey with Thirsty Kenny because I'm the same. My friends are my family. Mm-hmm. If you're a close friend of mine, it's because I want you to be in my life forever. I'm going to love you forever. And the idea that he's hosting these, also just like my love language is food and feeding people as well. It's very cultural for us. Like there were all these photos of him in his cardigan with his friends and all the food. And he was very clear too, hosting this trip, about the food. He was like, this night we're having a catered meal. Tomorrow we have to buy this, but we have the turkey catered. Like he has on every detail of the food. And I loved that. I'm sorry, Kenny. I'm now a fan.
I think you're more than a fan. And yes, I agree. And I think anybody who's had an orphan's Christmas, I know you have, I know I have, anyone who's traveled or lived, you know, abroad or away from their family, those friendships do become family because you don't have your family around and that's your support network, your system, all of it. So yeah, I think we can relate to that. And so into the sticky part of the episode, by golly, it looked cold at that vineyard.
My God, freezing.
Oh, I was just cold watching it. I was so pleased with Amanda having earmuffs. I feel like that makes a huge difference, like if your head or your ears are covered. But yeah, so the mum of it all. We have not pre-discussed this, guys, at all. I'm so interested to see your opinion, Sophie, because I can see both sides of this, but I'm also aware that in seeing both sides, I don't have kids. I'll set the scene. Basically, we know that Kenny, being diabolical, had decided without telling Lindsay, the co-host of the trip, that he wanted to offer Yvonne and her husband the primary suite because they had all messed up their beautiful wedding celebration the week before, which, and honestly, Lindsay was the one that really messed it up too. I will say that. But when they got there, Lindsay wasn't aware of this new idea of Kenny's, which was really Andrea's sweet suggestion that Kenny then took over and tried to big note himself. And then put on the spot, Lindsay just said, oh, Georgina and I are keeping that room because we're mums away from our kids. Like sort of set it off the cuff, but did say it, used it as the reason. And then later Whitney said to Lexi, I don't like that she uses this single mum card to get the things that she wants. She has a nanny, so it's not as though she never gets away from her child or is
constantly exhausted. She has, help that a privileged woman has. And this then obviously Lexi took it straight back to Georgina and Lindsay, and then boom, we're at a vineyard, and what happens there?
It all blows up. And I think just to get into the sort of the technicality of it, when you watch the original conversation with Whitney and Lexi in the room, and Whitney's just trying to blow off a little bit of steam, I think, because I think her real frustration is that Lindsay's the boss and that everyone does what Lindsay says. I think that that's actually the issue. And I don't think she actually said the single mum card. I think she said the mum's card. And then when it was repeated by Lexi, it became single mum card. And then Whitney just embraced that as if she'd said it, and she kept saying that. But I actually don't think she said single mum. I think she said mum. And I think that nuance actually matters, because I think, again, people are talking about, or how do you define a single mother? They've both got, ex-partners who are actively looking after the children, and, it's not like they're the only parent, et cetera, et cetera. But before we get into, I guess, really breaking down, was that an appropriate or not appropriate statement, I was just shocked that Whitney doubled down, because she was just venting. I think she was just saying mean things at the time because she was frustrated with Lindsay generally. But then when Danielle asked her about it and she had the ability to walk it back, she didn't, and she just doubled down. And I think that's another one of those sort of season 1 rookie errors, because I think she thinks, look, I said it on camera, so I'm going to have to own it. But actually, like a more seasoned reality vet would have walked it back at that time and just dealt with the consequences of the inconsistency later.
I know, but I was proud of her for doubling down for that, because it was a genuine response. Danielle was giving her the reality option of walking it back. Whitney didn't get that. And so she's like, no, I said that. And that's what I felt at the time. And it's fair for her to have that feeling. It is fair for her to do that. Talk to me about, because I thought she did say single mum card, but what is the nuance between saying single mum card versus playing the mum's card for you? Like, what does it make it better or worse if she'd said single mum card?
I feel like it's better that she didn't say single mum card, because there is actually discourse online now, because somebody's come out and said, actually, Georgina and Lindsay, you're not single mums, you are co-parents. Yeah. And that is a difference. But Georgina has sort of snapped right back and said, you know what, last night my ex-husband chose to go out and play hockey instead of being with his kids on his night, and instead of allowing a babysitter to do them, I went to his house, I did bed and bath with them. When he got home, they were still awake. When I left, they were sobbing and asking me to stay, but because of a parenting agreement, I couldn't, so I sobbed the whole way home. So she's saying, there's pros and cons to both being a single parent and to being a co-parent. And so I guess I'm learning through it as well, because I was thinking, yeah, you shouldn't identify yourself as a single parent. Co-parent's different, but I've not experienced that. And I think that's right. Maybe sometimes it is, in fact, better to have full ownership of your kids and not have to share it with someone that you don't have a good relationship with. And then I think the other thing is I was also with Whitney when Whitney was like, but they have a nanny, like they have this extra time. I was like, yeah, exactly, they do. But then when that got shut down, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, right, that's probably not so fair either. So I feel like I'm learning through it as well, because whilst I was raised by a single mother and have like the most respect for her, I have no idea how she did it. And she certainly didn't have, paid help, but she, we had family and pa and things like that. So anyway, I think it is complicated, but doesn't mean you get the good room. I actually don't think this was the issue at all. I think they thought the two of us are going to share a room. It's sort of like what Ramona and Sonia always do. They say, because we're going to share, you need one less room overall. We'll take the good room. I think that's actually what they thought. And I think Whitney was just frustrated that Lindsay's the boss and nobody will say anything to Lindsay, and Lindsay wouldn't back down when they wanted to give the room to Yvonne. So I actually don't think any of this is about motherhood. But what do you think?
Yes, I think you're right that it's never about the room. And this is why room drama can be really boring. But in this case, I enjoyed it because it threw up another conversation. It's not about the room. It's about Lindsay always being pro Lindsay. And even in her conversation with Yvonne, she was looking out for herself. And it was Yvonne's ability to
See past that.
see past that and accept that in that moment that made that conversation go okay, because Lindsay set fire to that conversation the second she sat down with Yvonne, which was not a good look. And I think similarly, I agree with you. Whitney was just venting that they wanted to do this nice thing, and Lindsay's immediate response was pro Lindsay, and her immediate response was making it an excuse that other people can't argue with, right? So if you're child free and someone says, oh, well, I have a child, I'm a mum missing my kid, so I'm going to have this, I can't say anything to you in that moment.
It's an unfair argument.
Yeah, it's like, it's what Lindsay does is she seeks to shut down dissent as soon as possible, which, to be honest, it doesn't bother me. I would be Lindsay's friend. Like, I appreciate how direct she is. I'm the sort of person that would say back to her, no, lady, like, I don't care that you've got a kid. I think we should give the room to Yvonne, like, whatever. But Whitney couldn't do that. They're not friends. And so she was venting to Lexi. I think Lexi, obviously doing a good thing for the reality TV gods, but it was pretty mean of her to pass that along when Whitney just needs a soundboard.
I think that's what she thought she had. I thought she thought she had an ally. She thought she could vent. I mean, I've been in that situation before too, and it's such a crappy, like, I felt so bad for Whitney when Lexi did that. I mean, then Andrea's come out and sort of said, I've said to Lexi, if it's said on camera, tell the people because it's going to come out. So that's like sort of his coaching to her. She can maybe make her own decision about how she shows up in future seasons. But I was so surprised though when Whitney and Lindsay finally had the conversation in the kitchen, and I really felt like Whitney bested Lindsay because Lindsay's like, well, she's like, it's not about, the mother thing. She's like, but you just said anyway, and Whitney just kept sticking to facts, and then Lindsay was very flustered, and Whitney was able to demonstrate, like, you did pull the mum card, and then Lindsay's like, yeah, I can pull the mum card, and then she's like, don't call it the card. She's like, but you just called it the card. Anyway, I thought that was really impressive. So I think, anyway, Whitney's gone up in my books, to be fair.
Whitney's gone up in my books too. And like, let's not forget, Whitney survived several rounds of The Bachelor. So she has seen this before, but it's been a long time. But I liked that she stood her ground. I do think Kenny's coaching her with that a little bit. But when Lindsay said, oh, I can play the mum card anytime I want. And Whitney's like, well, there you go. You just called it a card. You knew what you were doing. And then Kenny said, you said it. Is Whitney not allowed to call it out as a fact? And Lindsay did get very flustered at that point. But then Whitney apologized to Lindsay. And I was like, why does Lindsay get an apology for this?
I would do that too, though. I would just be like, I've made my point. I think you understand that I wasn't trying to be hostile to you. I was just frustrated. And I'm happy that you know my point, but I will apologise because I want us to be okay moving forward. And at the end of the day, there is a pecking order, and Lindsay sits above Whitney for now. So I would be like, okay, good to go.
How do we feel about, though, Georgina blowing up at the Vineyard before the Lindsay of it all came to a head at the house and calling out to Whitney and Kenny? I'm intrigued by this, where she said, I think you both hate women.
Again, I know this is like an easy out, but they shouldn't have had that conversation. If I was any of them, I would have said, we will not have this conversation while Lindsay's not here. Because Lindsay was the one having all of the conversation at the bedroom door when it all went down. It wasn't Georgina. And so therefore she is in a way just sort of acting as a soldier. And I think she expected Whitney just to back down, and then Whitney didn't. So then she had to double down because Lindsay wasn't there and she wasn't kind of sure what Lindsay wanted. So it shouldn't have happened.
It was so interesting to me that Georgina got so fired up, which, again, love to see it. Go girl, like, you do you. I agreed with her a little bit when she said, I think as a couple, you guys hate women. And I'm saying this as, like, I have come a long way on my Kenny journey. I'm appreciating Whitney, but I think Georgina is not necessarily wrong, because some of the things that Kenny has said when he first was filming with Lindsay, he said, oh, sounds like a woman who hates men has entered the chat, or something like that. Like, don't get me, that was not exactly what he said, but he said something about a man hater. Yes. He did, which is, kind of like red pillar language. And then for Whitney, I do remember thinking when she said playing the mum card or playing the single mum card, I remember thinking, oof, that's very disrespectful language in some ways. I know that I think underlying her message was probably accurate, is that Lindsay was being ridiculous about her reasoning for keeping.
Yeah, but why did you go to that? You could have chosen any reason to, you know, she could have said, Lindsay, because she's been on Summer House, or, you know, she didn't want to break the fourth wall, but she could have been like, because she thinks she's more experienced than all of us, she can have it. She could have come up with any reason in that moment. Like, why did she have to go to the mum business? Like, why was that her first choice?
Well, probably because Lindsay said we're mums away from our kids, right? So, but still, the language was prickly language. I felt that in the moment, even though I was sort of on her side overall. And so when Georgina got up and yelled that at them and stormed off, I was like, aha, my little like senses.
Spidey senses.
Yeah, we're going off for a reason. And so I'm still not all the way there with Whitney and Kenny. I think they do need to watch their language. I think Kenny in particular needs to be okay with strong women. But in my shipping of Lindsay and Kenny, did we all see the flirtatious moment that they had at the turkey light meat, dark meat station?
I know, a little over the turkey. And then it was like super awkward too, because on the dance floor, there was a lot of like, they showed clips of like Kenny like dancing with Whitney and Lindsay together. And anyway, I
cannot. They have a spark between them. I think he loves Whitney. And he was defending Whitney and he shows up for her, and that was lovely.
And they're still together, which I wasn't sure if they would be, and they are. And, you know, apparently they might have accidentally got married in Peru. So
how do you accidentally get married? I know that this is a bit of a swerve, but you don't accidentally get married anywhere. And the fact that also Yvonne and Nick took forever to get married officially, and the fact that way back on Vanderpump Rules, Tom Schwartz and Katie never bothered to get officially married. I'm like, do you know what never happened when Charlie and I got married? We never not got married. We got married.
Although I was like all on your side there, but then like I don't think we're legally married in Australia.
Your Canada wedding. You're like my mum and dad, because my mum and dad eloped to Canada and they were never legally married here until like, I don't know, 15 years ago or something.
Well, I tried to because I wasn't born in Australia and I wasn't married in Australia. They don't care. There's no way for me to register it. So when we got back to Canada and I wanted to register our wedding to change my surname before we had the girls, that there was nothing I could do. So what I actually had to do was literally just a name change certificate. So I just submitted to form, so I could have changed my name to like, you know, Boo Boo Lucy. Like I could have, but I just changed it to this. So there's nowhere in like birth, deaths and marriages records in Australia for us for our wedding. I know. I just didn't think that getting married overseas would be such a big deal. But we are registered and we've got all the documentation in Canada for what it's worth.
So because you were born in Pakistan, you can't then register your marriage here?
No, because it's just sort of double whammy. So not born in Australia, not married in Australia. It was so crazy to learn that. And but because we are essentially, we are like married and we live together in our finances or whatever. So it doesn't make any differences from like tax perspective or anything. But yeah, I know. So anyway, I'm like throw shade at them. And then it's like me with the white, wearing a white to the wedding all over again.
As I was saying it and I saw your face, I was like, oh, she got married in Canada. She's going to tell me they're not legally married. But in fairness, you tried to sort it all out. It wasn't your fault. You were born in another country. You're so like a citizen of the world.
Yeah,
you're like,
I'm an international woman of mystery because it was very, very hard because anyway, and then because talk about trying to change my passport and, you know, like not actually having a legitimate birth certificate anymore. Like the whole thing is a nightmare. Whereas I fixed it for my girls. Both of our girls were born in the lovely little town of Mackay in Australia. Not only were they born in the same hospital, they were born in the same room. I was like, I couldn't have made it easier and more simple for you girls. So
what a favor you've done them. And honestly, I wish your mum had thought of that.
She's the international woman of mystery. So, okay. So then I am keen to see the reunion. For me, Amanda does seem a lot more relaxed amongst this group than she did with the Summer House group. Talk about some of the fashion.
I mean, I love autumn fashion. Autumn is my favorite season. I'm constantly in jumpers and turtlenecks on this podcast. It's going to be a sad day when summer hits in Tasmania and I'll have to wear a t-shirt. I thought Lindsay's fashion was very over the top in that argument in the kitchen, though. It was like she was like top to toe, like brown, orange, checks, plaid. It was wild. She was really cosplaying like the Connecticut autumn Thanksgiving vibe. It was very cute. What did you think?
Yeah, it was cute. And there's this page, I'll have to tag them on Instagram that we're following, which is, it's like a Bravo fashion page. And like this lady's going to send me broke because she keeps popping up all the outfits that they wear and then linking them. And so there was a link to Lindsay's sort of black outfit that she wore with the crystal embellishments. So you can go straight to that. And then same for Amanda. That brown jumper that, sorry, you go.
No, I was just going to say Amanda's sparkly turtleneck mini dress that she wore the night before when Kyle got mad and she had to get up and leave. I was like, girl, love that dress.
Yes, she has been dressing so much better, I feel like, in the city than she did on Summer House. But yeah, the brown sort of turtleneck jumper that Whitney was wearing just sort of in the kitchen scene, someone asked this account, she found it, and it was $1,000 US. Just for that brown jumper, and they're like, oh, it's some brand like LA Life or something. She's saying a lot of the Bravo lebs love it. But yeah, it is fascinating to see like how they mix sort of high-low, but it's quite expensive.
Oh my God, $1,000 US for the jumper. She did look beautiful in it though. Can I just say Whitney gives me Miranda Kerr vibes from time to time. She has a similar face and bone structure. Yeah, just from some angles. Like Whitney is really, really beautiful looking. Like stunning.
Yes. Like exceptional, like not ordinary pretty, like, but pretty. Yeah, so that was, I will have to share that account, but they're doing a very, very good job.
Don't share it with me. I don't need to buy any more clothes. I will send myself broke as well. I'll have 10 Amanda-inspired turtleneck mini-skirt sparkly dresses I'll never be able to wear.
Well, that is why I ended up on Meshki and bought that dress the other day, because she tagged that Heather Dubrow had the same outfit in 2 different colours, and so I clicked on it, and then I was in the Meshki site all of a sudden. Then next thing I'd ordered this Meshki dress, which I am actually I've never returned anything in my life, but I'm going to return this because it is too short. You can see my underpants. So
the Meshki is the brand that, I know we're not talking about the Valley this week, but a few weeks ago when Tom Schwartz had his very sad James Bond gambling party at his 3-story sad townhouse, Michelle turned up looking absolutely smoking in this like sparkly silver dress. She looked amazing, and that was a Meshki dress too. So are they sponsoring bloody reality stars? They're charging us $1,000, but they're getting it for free.
Exactly. I mean, it's such wonderful product placement for them though, isn't it? So yes, I would take it. I would take it. Okay. So I don't think Pampers or what are the female urine pads sponsored the OC episode 2, but they could have. Depends.
Oh, I was literally watching a Kath and Kim episode the other day where Kath and Kel end up modeling for the older incontinence pads. It was so funny. So it's funny that you mentioned that now.
Well, that's apparently how Lisa Rinna made a ton of her money. I remember they all used to tease her about how she used to do like the Depends ads, etc. And she's like, I made so much money off that, honey. I have no shame.
Oh my God. But what do we think? All right, moving to the OC, quite a bit to discuss. I do want to call out Gina to kick us off, where she threw a 50th birthday party for Emily, invited everyone, but made them dress up as old ladies. Okay, that's cute. But she didn't tell Emily that. And when Emily arrived, Gina hugs her and says, I wanted you to feel like the hottest person here. And to me, that was such a backhanded compliment, because it's like, you're never going to be the hottest person here unless I make all of our friends dress up as old women. What?
Oh my gosh, that did not even occur to me. I think, Yes, okay. Because I mean, what she wanted was just to make her feel young again, like the
Yeah.
youngest in the room, which she kind of is anyway. Like they are on the younger side. But no, I didn't. I did not clock that as a shade, and probably because their relationship is so good, she probably didn't either. What I clocked as she walked in was that nobody stood up to hug her. It was so awkward. Like she couldn't find them, and then she did, and then she walked out, and they all just stayed there sipping their drinks, and they're like, "Hi." I'm like, you're walking in, you're not wearing the dress theme. It's your like, get up out of your seats and give her a cuddle. Like, it just felt very, I don't know, a bit cool upon entry. And then, I mean, speaking of cool, did you see the look that Heather gave Jen as Jen arrived? I would die. I could wither on the floor if I got one of those like Heather Dubrow ice looks.
Oh, I'd love a look like that. I'd love that from Heather Dubrow. I'd be like, yes, give me your iciest glare. Ask me if you killed my cat. Like, let's do this, Heather, because I know that you're going to back down ultimately. Heather looked beautiful. Can I just say, some of the women looked beautiful as older women. Shannon looked gorgeous, I thought.
Shannon with dark hair is stunning. I was like, Shannon, you need to, I mean, give that a go in real life. I feel like she looks better than ever.
She looks so much better as a brunette. The blonde washes her out. It's not a natural blonde. Go the brunette. You look gorgeous doing your like Jackie Kennedy cosplay. I thought it was so cute. I thought Heather looked beautiful as well. I thought Tamara looked pretty good. Like, and
oh my gosh, Tamara had she was the only one that went to the effort of doing the like facial aging. I think she tried to do that. And so that is one of the best parts of Real Housewives is watching these women have serious arguments in dress up.
I know.
Like, it's like just one of my little joys. Like, I was just sitting there on the couch and they're like genuinely arguing with each other, but in this most comical. And I was like, yes, like this is what I live for. But back to Heather, Tamara was so shady because she said to Heather was walking up, she's like, she looks like Cruella de Vil. And then to her face, she's like, you look like your mother. I was like, how is her mum going to feel when she sees that?
I know. And also she didn't look like Cruella de Vil. Neither does her mum. Like, so there's been a lot of talk about Heather and her mum in that conversation they had the other week that we also discussed. And it is like, honestly, like, yeah, I've been living in the comments a little bit, but just because I'm so curious. But it's really 50-50. Half of the people are on the side of Heather's mum and half are on Heather's side. So I think it's a fascinating conversation. I think it will continue. But back to the whole group events, I feel like, generally speaking, while I enjoyed that party, I agree with you. There was no, like, when Emily arrived, they didn't get up and cheer. They didn't get excited that she was there. And I feel like maybe that's a bit of a metaphor for OC in general. It feels
a bit tired.
It's tired. No one's excited. And these arguments they were trying to ignite are boring. Number one, Emily, I don't care about your podcast. I don't care if it's on Tamara's network or off Tamara's network. I don't think what she said to you at the reunion was a big deal. And you want an apology from her when you tried to destroy another woman's life on a reunion and refused to apologize ever. Emily breaks my brain. She's so stubborn. She will not see outside herself. She drives me nuts. She is so self-involved. It's all about trying to look skinny, being obsessed with her own body, and trying to get apologies from people she thinks have wronged her when she wrongs people in such a major and destructive and public way. What?
I mean, Gina's very much in her corner because Gina in her confessional was saying Emily's really taking it easy here. Old Emily would be crossing the table. So I don't know. My take was like, really, I just thought, she doesn't look 50. She looks amazing. She looks better than she ever has. I didn't know that her podcast with her husband was doing so well. Well, that's what Tamara said in this episode. She said, actually, yeah, it is doing really well, and that's why they've got their own whatever now, and they're able to split it off into a separate podcast. And then I was also thinking, though, I would have been more grateful. Like if somebody else's podcast was hosting our podcast and pushing us out to all of their viewers, I mean, I would be, baking a cake and taking it around. So
I think Tamara had a point there where she said when you left, you didn't show any gratitude or say thank you. Why not? And then everyone's like, oh, but you were mean to Emily at the reunion. Because you did this thing first. Emily, you do these things. You upset people. You are bullish. You don't care about other people's feelings, it seems like. And then you get so mortally offended if they respond. I was really with Tamara on this. And, you know, the Emily of old who would have been across the table and fired up, whatever, who cares? That Emily is still a bully. Like, I just don't vibe with her at all. I find her really frustrating to watch. I don't know.
She triggers you.
She triggers me, I think, because I've never seen her once acknowledge,
Take accountability.
yeah, and apologize. She just is mean when she wants to be and a victim when she wants to be. And I am still not seeing any storyline for her at all.
And I think, I mean, the one thing I will say is that, you know, she formed this really beautiful, genuine relationship with Gina at the start. But beyond that, any of the relationships to me always seem to be self-serving. It's like, you know, you'll connect with Tamara when you think it's good for you. Now you're connecting with Jen. I think it's always that she's been in survival mode this whole time, because I think her position's never been really, really secure. And so I don't think we've really seen the real her. I think, yeah, she's been trying to put on storylines. Like, now I'm going to talk about my child's autism. Now I'm going to talk about this. And it hasn't felt very genuine or natural.
I think you're right. I think she's just never been herself on this show. And she's on a sort of an aggressive persona. And it's not appealing. But I wonder if she is very angry deep down about things that she's not willing to talk about.
Well, she has talked about her mother stuff. Like, she had a really rough childhood, and I think was quite abandoned by her mum and really had to raise herself, and I think maybe a sibling of hers from a very young age. So I think she does have some mother wounds, and so yeah, who knows how that's showing up for her now.
Emily, get your mother on the show again and let's do a big conversation about your mother wounds, because that's what I'm here for.
I just wanted to say, brain fart, I just love seeing people's houses. So I got to see Carmela's house. I'm like, maybe I should just be watching more real estate shows, but I do watch those. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I jumped on my phone and I was trying to map out where this place is versus Orange County. And then, oh my God, Vicky, like the shade to Carmela when she's like, well, that doesn't sound like a very stable, you know, home life for a grade 4, 5 and 6er. And she's like, they're nearly adults. But she just comes in with like, doesn't listen to the full story and then just says something really mean.
Vicky is such a typical boomer. She's like half deaf. She walks in thinking she knows everything. She doesn't. She says something wildly offensive and then just sort of like sits back into a little box. There's no reason for her to be on this show. I'm sorry. It's done. She's not entertaining. The way she's treating Carmela is just boring. I did love that they put Carmela with Shannon. They always do this with the new girls. They're like, go out with Shannon, because Shannon, so she'll imprint on every new girl until they disappoint her, and then she'll like...
Until they disappoint her in some really obscure and unexpected way, and then she decides that that's going to be her mortal enemy.
Yes, and then she's like, I am so hurt. You ignored me for 30 seconds one day at the tea stand, and now I'm so hurt I can never be your friend again. It's honestly textbook and it's hilarious. But they keep doing it. They're like, here, get through this Shannon situation and then you'll be fine. I thought Camilla was interesting. I enjoyed her home scenes and the house. I am very annoyed with her. This is hyperbole. Obviously, I don't know this woman, but like, why are you staying with a man on and off for 10 years, a boyfriend who has cheated on you? Don't do that. Like, no, lady.
Honestly, when he first like walked into the kitchen and then they sort of cut away to her talking about their relationship, and then she was like, he said he liked kids and it sounded like a business arrangement. I was like, she doesn't sound gushy over him at all. And I was like, this isn't an issue with him for his money, but it sounds like she's got money and she's keeping him around. And then that's right, when they said he cheated on her, it's like, yeah, as she said it, she's got the self-awareness to say, I left my marriage, you know, the father of my 4 children, because of infidelity, and yet I'm putting up with this. And I just imagine, like, you know, her husband cheating on her, and then to have it happen again, she's probably like, what's wrong with me? Is this all I deserve? And I kind of loved how the lady said to her, like, what do your girlfriends say? And they say, oh, they're supportive. And they said, well, they obviously don't tell you the truth. We'll tell you the truth. And well, that is one good thing that might come out of this, is that she'll get to watch herself back and be like, what the heck am I doing? I do deserve better.
I know, and we've seen so many housewives, married or with partners, come on, and it gives them the confidence to then be on their own. It gives them aside that relationship.
Yes. I wrote that before even we found out he cheated. I wrote in my notes. I was like won't see him in season 2 because usually they come on and you never see, like when a new housewife joins, she'll usually have a husband or a partner for first season, but by second season they're gone. It seems to be a bit of an exit strategy for women.
And it's another reason to love these shows because it is giving women of a certain age a level of independence they would not have otherwise had. I actually did love that moment that you've called out with that just gaggle of dressed up old ladies saying to this woman, oh my God, he cheated on you. Well, what do your girlfriends say? And she said, oh, well, they just respect my decision. And they were like, so they're lying to you. They're not being honest. We'll tell you, you don't need to put up with that. And I loved that because part of it was so comical because they were all dressed up to be so old. And part of you thinks, oh God, we shouldn't still be having this conversation about men cheating on us when we're that old. But at the same time, Carmela needs to hear it. And she also needs to hear that it is not her. She is not the problem. And you don't need to waste 10 years trying to rebuild trust with someone who has shown you no respect. You will find someone else. And if you don't, who cares? You have your kids and your girlfriends. Like, I think what frustrates me too is like when you're in a bad relationship, all you are doing by staying is stopping yourself from being happy in either a good relationship to come into your life or just being on your own and being happy and doing the things that bring you joy. But being in that broken relationship and trying to hang on to it, none of that is getting you to where you want to be.
It isn't. It's so, you're fighting off the inevitable because of fear. You're at, the edge of your comfort zone where, fear begins. And if you could just take the leap, you would find something out there, like you say, that could be so much more fulfilling. And I think that she's got some really good mentors with that because obviously you see Shannon, she tried with the John Jansen for so long. You saw Vicky with Brooks and a couple of others like taking it on far too long. And so hopefully, it's already 10 years wasted, but hopefully they can provide some good mentorship for her. And I think it was interesting you say you're just done with Vicky because I noticed her when she was at Tamara's house having that conversation. I was like, it's so weird seeing, because she's been a friend of for so long. I didn't mind her in a friend of role. I wanted her gone when she left, like the whole Brooks and cancer faking, all of it. Like I just, I felt repulsed by her. But when she came in just to play that friend of, falls over in an episode, all of that was, I didn't mind it. But yeah, seeing her come back in a full role just feels really odd and very out of place, just feeling deeply awkward.
Deeply awkward. And yeah, the whole group is fractured. There are no, other than Gina and Emily being genuine friends, I just don't see any genuine friendships there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this season pans out. All right. Well, that's our reality catch up for this week.
Just wait, before we move on from reality, I will say I have been watching, I'm doing this for everyone else, all right, not for me, but I've been watching the Billionaire Nannies on Disney. Ooh. And so, because there was ads for it everywhere and I thought, what's it going to be? And I thought it could be interesting because I do feel like nannies would have the best tea or intel, but the way that it's structured, they're all based in Ibiza and it's travel nannies with families that come in and out. But talk about season 1 about people just willing to say anything on camera to try and get famous. In it, they kept calling it nanny talk. Like, what's going to happen to nanny talk? And you could tell it's just like this total ripoff of Secret Wives of Mormon Wives. But anyway, I just put it on while I'm working on the computer, just in the background. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but it is quite a chuckle. So,
well, thank you for watching it so the rest of us don't necessarily have to.
And then the other thing that we should just quickly mention is that Real Housewives of London has been approved for a season 2. It drops in September or something, September 7th. So did you watch the first season, Jessie?
I sure did, because this was before Ladies of London New Reign came out. And I love programming set in London. I lived there for a year, but I lived a very, I suppose, cheap version of London life. And when I see these ultra wealthy English women going around Chelsea and Knightsbridge and all these beautiful places and going to champagne bars. I just get irrationally overexcited, and I irrationally think, oh, I'd be friends with her. I'd go to that champagne bar. And honestly, it's no Ladies of London New Reign. And I think we're all devastated, absolutely devastated that they're not renewing that as yet. But at least we have something set in London. At least we have some housewives. And that blonde lady, the blonde Amanda, I mean, something is going on behind that, and I want to know what it is. Like, that woman something is up there, and I think we're going to find out more. But I enjoyed all of them. Did you enjoy the season that you watched?
Yes, I did. I thought because there were so many that we there were some that we already knew. So I already knew the main Juliet from. She was in the original Ladies of London. And so I kind of loved that because she was friends with Caroline Stanbury. Then in this, Caroline films a scene. I think, did Dorinda even film a scene with one of the ladies? Because she's a part of that. When she lived in London, that was sort of her crew. And so I thought, because Juliet was actually supposed to stay on Ladies of London, at the last minute, they sort of got her over to Real Housewives, which now looking back was probably the right decision because it's the one that's been renewed. Yeah. But I enjoyed seeing what was up with her. One of the ladies was from the Real Housewives of those Isles. I'm not going to be able to
remember it on the spot.
Yeah, those English Isles. Anyway,
geography is not my thing. I'm like,
yeah, geography is not mine. But I really enjoyed that Real Housewives. She was from that. And so there was a few of them that we kind of knew from other places. And yeah, no, I did enjoy it. And I'm like you, there is a word that means like homesick for a place you've never lived. That is how I feel about London. Whenever I see it, and like the Christmas lights on Carnaby Street and all of the things. When Mum lived in London for the 5 years and we went to visit a few times, it was easy to fly from Canada. But I've never lived there. And yet I feel, irrationally like you, connected to it, and stupidly that would be the life that I would be living. And I absolutely would not be living that.
Sophia, it's not too late. We can all move to London for a year. We could.
Well, you know what? I just had lunch with a girlfriend who, like on Tuesday, who's just moved back from 5 years in London. And we worked together. And she was living in a flat in Chelsea. And I remember doing a FaceTime with her, and she was telling me that on the days that she travelled, she couldn't have a shower because the hot water only started in that building at 6 a.m. And so then and I just remember going, you know what? Like, hot water is important to me. Like, then you remember those things, like those tiny showers with no water pressure and the, electricity box that you've got to put money in and all of the different things. She was like, her flat in Chelsea was amazing. Like, work was paying for it. It was amazing. But I'm like, you can't have a shower in the mornings that you travel. So I don't know.
But that's what I agree. Like, we forget how we're so lucky in Australia. We have everything here. It all works beautifully. I agree. When I lived in London, the water pressure on the shower we had in our first flat was terrible. And when I flushed the toilet, it didn't, it was on a chain, and it didn't like in Australia, you press a button, it sucks everything. Whereas this, I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to flush multiple times. Like, this is so weird. Why does water here not work a normal way? But it's because we are so lucky in Australia. And also, you forget all the difficult things about London, where you're on the tube where it's freezing outside, but you're sweating on the tube inside because you're all layered up. It's just that London looks so sparkly and beautiful on these shows that you really can buy into the fantasy of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, my literary agent is in London. I'm with a London literary agency, and it just blows my mind that has happened, because I have always still felt connected to London after I lived there, and now I have another reason to go from time to time.
Yeah, I was like, is that a work trip that you could do that maybe you need me on, and, there could be some high tea and Selfridges involved, and please make that happen.
We could maybe also do high tea at the Ritz. I did love the season of the OC where they went to London for Shannon, and they were I can't remember the name of it, but it's all pink. And they were having a champagne tea there, and it's meant to be incredible. And it was just the whole decor of it was just beautiful and pink. It was so cute.
It's the place that you go and you buy your candles from, isn't it? And your tea.
think it was
Anyway.
called Sketch. No, it's called Sketch London. I've just remembered, and it was great. But there's so many incredible places to go. So yes, anyway, one day London calling. Sophia and I will take over Carnaby Street and Oxford Street.
Maybe a live podcast in somewhere in London one day. Let's manifest that, okay? Manifest. Okay, good. Well, I'm super excited. Season 2 is coming out, thank gosh, after the heartbreak of Ladies of London. Okie dokie. So now we can move on to our distractions. So, Jessie, what's been distracting you this week?
Well, it is a book called Mantle by Romy Ash. It's set in Tasmania where I live, but in a different part of Tasmania. So the descriptions of the landscape are beautiful. And it is about a woman who comes from the mainland to be with her mother as her mother dies. But her mum, like, that's not a spoiler, it's on the back of the book. And the mum dies like in the first section, like quite quickly. So the story then is about her. She finds this guy she falls into a relationship with, but then there's this airborne virus. They never tell you what it is, but all the borders are closed down. So she can't get back home from Tasmania, and she's having all these like weird symptoms. And it's just fascinating and weird and a little bit gothic, and I can't quite figure out what's happening yet. And it's beautifully written, and the cover is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Beautiful. If you're looking for just an interesting, beautiful Australian author written book, give Mantle a go. I highly recommend it.
Thank you. Have you met Romy before?
No, I haven't. She last wrote a book like 8 or 9 years ago that was instantly nominated for things. And then she just like disappeared. And when I got Mantle, I messaged her on Instagram. I was like, hello, I wish you could write books more often, but like you can't really say that. And she's like, oh, sometimes just life gets in the way. And I was like, oh, yes, it does. And the whole time I'm reading this slowly because I'm scared she'll take another 8 years before writing another book and I'll have to wait.
I know that feeling. Oh, well, that's a beautiful recommendation. Thank you, Jessie.
What's been distracting you this week?
Oh, so as I was thinking about what was distracting me this week, I was like, oh, let's keep it fun and light. And then I just couldn't. I saw actually an article. Originally, I don't think it was so widely reported, but I think it's been quite widely reported now. And it was a case in Brisbane. So there was a sexual assault trial occurring in Brisbane. And essentially there was a judge, so acting judge Ryan Hadrick, and he did something quite, well, I think meaningful. And so essentially there was a sexual assault by a man in his 30s of a girl who was 14. And the defense said something along the lines of, but the assault was only 5 minutes. And the intent behind that was to say, in other cases, it's a series of assaults, or over a lifetime, but this was only 5 minutes. And it was described as sort of like a slip of self-control rather than, And so what this judge did, he said, well, actually, let's just stop proceedings right now. And I'm going to put on a timer and we're all going to sit here in silence for 5 minutes.
Good on him.
Good on him. And so, if you could even imagine now, when we have a minute's silence, how long that can feel, on Remembrance Day. But if you imagine sitting there for 5 minutes in silence in that courtroom, really imagining that this little girl was being assaulted for that full period of time, it really turns from 5 minutes into what it truly was, which will be something that impacts her for the rest of her life. And so I guess I haven't been able to stop thinking about it. It's distracted me, good and bad, because I think well done to the judge who just off the cuff did this. It was, I think, quite an unusual thing to do. But at the same time, I'm really sad because I understand the sentencing for this was 36 months for this fellow who had plied her with alcohol and drugs and then had a slip of self-control for 5 minutes. Like, it's so shit. And he has a non-parole period of 6 months, so he'll likely only serve 6 months. So I'm happy with humanity and then devastated with humanity all at once. I know it's not the funnest topic to raise, but that's what's been distracting me, Jessie.
But that's fair because we live in Australia has huge domestic violence rates. We have a problem with men assaulting women. I think what's so offensive about this man's defense lawyer saying, but it was only 5 minutes, it's on the lower end of the scale. I understand that we have to have a way to categorize crimes in terms of seriousness. But if we're being real, that assault didn't happen in that 5 minutes. It happened when he groomed this young person, when the perpetrator gave them the marijuana, when the perpetrator gave them the alcohol, because it's not a slip of self-control for 5 minutes when you actively groom and plan and strategize, put things in place to lower this person's inhibitions, this child's inhibitions. You are actually executing a very detailed plan of what you intend to do. So the 5 minutes is so irrelevant. The entire thing was an assault on a child. And
That's right.
That's why it's wonderful that this judge made everyone sit with that 5 minutes, but so disappointing that then the sentencing didn't reflect what we all genuine heart-led people know, which is that this child will be affected for the rest of their life in some way that will be negative. And I hope they overcome that and have the right supports. But the fact is they're going to have to search out support because this thing has happened to them that wasn't
their
there.
childhood has been taken away, and they will have to live with this. Like, I think of my daughters, and one of my daughters is 13.
Yeah.
And I just,
It's horrifying, right?
it's horrifying. It would impact, the life for the rest of their life. And I think if punishment is supposed to be a deterrent, and I don't know if it is supposed to be or if it's all just about rehabilitation, but I don't think 6 months in prison is much of a deterrence for a 34-year-old man to lose his self-control again. Anyway, so that's that. And on a lighter note, though, the other thing that was distracting me is that living in the comments, Captain Sandy liked our post. We did a post. Did I haven't told you that? No. So she liked our one of our videos online, and then obviously Andrea reaching out to us. So I thought that was kind of fun on the upside. Okay, so let's get into our recommendations. So what are you recommending, Jessie?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, Charlie and I were in Sydney and we decided to take the opportunity to see the Lion King musical. So I had seen it with my friend Brooke, my best friend Brooke. Hello, Brooke. She and I had gone to see that in New York years and years and years ago, and it was spectacular, to the point where when I got together with Charlie, I was like, oh my gosh, how good is the Lion King musical? And he's like, I've never seen it. And I was like, let me play you whatever we can find on YouTube for that opening song, because it is so incredible. And they have elephants, people dressed up as elephants and different animals coming down the aisles. I was like, you have to see this. So we found a YouTube performance of it. This was years ago. And I started crying when I saw this YouTube performance because I cried in the original musical as well. Anyway, so we were going to Sydney. I was like, we've got to see the Lion King. Let's just go see it in Sydney. I was a little bit worried it wouldn't be as grand and as good as the New York version. But can I tell you, and I think the tickets were $150 each, which, yes, is expensive, and we are living in a cost of living crisis. But if you are able to afford it, it was, I thought, quite a cheap ticket for what we got, which is a 2.5-hour musical with incredible performers. The costuming and the stage design, the set design, the choreography, everything was spectacular. It was like just the biggest burst of imagination you can possibly think of. I was in awe the entire time, and it was just amazing. Like, I just loved it. Charlie loved it. So I really, if you can afford to go and support.
How long's it showing for?
I think it's I don't know, it might be permanent. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Google it. But support our arts sector.
I know they've cancelled a bunch of plays and musicals and things in the upcoming years. So yeah, absolutely support it. Well, okay, we will let's look it up and we'll pop it in our recommendations on our socials and our show notes, and we can say how long the run is. But it's the music you can just feel in your bones. You know that?
Oh, gets you. And they're so these performers are just amazing. The set design, I just could go on. But the other thing I'm going to quickly recommend is for something lighthearted as well. If you're at home, if you have heard of Jeff Arcuri, the comedian, he is married to one of the former bachelorettes, Katie Thurston, and they are very much in love, very adorable. He is supporting her through a whole cancer situation. But he did a Netflix special recently, and he's just so cute, and he's funny. He does a lot of crowd work. It's all very lighthearted humor. If you just want something that is just going to make you smile, put on Jeff Arcuri's Netflix special. Probably not appropriate for the kids. As I thought back on it, some of his like stories and there's swearing and things in there. But it is just like a lovely, relaxed night in, particularly for couples. Like just go and have a laugh. He never punches down. He only self-deprecates himself. And he's not one of these comedians that's also complaining that he's not allowed to punch down on people too. He's just funny and sweet. So I'd give that a go.
Well, I do love that, and I loved Katie Thurston. I'm so happy that she's found love.
Yeah.
And I would also say, just to link back to London, I saw The Lion King in London on stage with my sister and my niece. And do you remember how crazy she was about Lion King when she was little, our niece? So like, yeah, it was amazing. But just to be able to experience it, like it was my mum, my sister, my niece, but just to be able to experience it with her as she'd grown up as a baby and she was obsessed with the movie. But just, yeah, it's like, yeah, I was like, I have to explain how I know I felt it in my bones because it was amazing.
And you
so
do.
London, New York, Sydney.
Yeah, exactly. And now that niece is grown up and married. But I don't understand how there must have been a glitch in the time matrix because we have not aged. And
We have
she's
not aged one
20
bit. Actually, I've got a photo of us outside in London, and yeah, and she was just a baby girl, and I look exactly the same. You know.
I know.
Anyway.
All
So
right. And
my recommendation this week is Depop. So if you haven't heard of Depop, it's a part of the sort of circular economy where obviously a reduction in waste, where people share and sell their clothes that they're pre-loved clothes, and then you can buy them. But it's just amazing quality. So I've sold a bunch of my really nice. I've sold like Rebecca Valance dresses, etc. on there. It's been amazing. And then as we were looking for outfits for Hayu FanFest, I got on because there was some dresses that were discontinued, and I was trying to see if I could find them. Now I didn't end up finding the dress I wanted on there, but I did find a vintage pair of Ferragamo shoes that would have been like thousands of dollars, and I sent through an offer yesterday for $100, and she accepted it.
congratulations. Oh my God, Ferragamo shoes. Are they loafers?
No, so they are like it's like a lower heel, but like this bronze color. They're so beautiful, and they like look brand new on top, and there's a little scuffing on the bottom. And I know some people probably feel a bit weird about secondhand things or etc. But like, just think about it. It is a circular economy. I have things that I no longer wear. I've sold them. You can purchase things. It's just you can buy things for less than you would buy brand new that you would then eventually throw out, because things today aren't as good quality as things were.
Well, that is actually a key point as well. We are looking at just the, what do we call it? The on-shitification of fast fashion. Clothes are plastic, everything's polyester. I completely agree with you. I think it's amazing. Also, it's reducing waste. And like you said, you can get these incredible quality designer things for much cheaper. And at the
They're
end of
leather, they're made in Italy, they like hand stamped, like you can see they're beautiful.
That's it. And if you love them, you're going to wear them for such a long time. And the thing is, like, I have heaps of dresses where I've worn it once or twice. Like, dry cleaning exists. It's going to be just as like new or clean as something you try on at David Jones that someone else has tried on 5 times.
Bargains I have provided, like I had this amazing dress from this Brisbane designer. It would have been like 10 kilos. And I was just getting rid of stuff, and I sold it, and the lady wanted it. She was up north in Queensland or something. And I just remember thinking, like, I can't believe you're getting this for this price. But she messaged me. She told me what she was wearing it for. And I was like, I want that dress to have life. Like, yay. So, yes, I'm recommending Depop. That's the Australian version. Anyway, that's my recommendation. And I think that brings us to the end of our little chat today, Jessie.
Yes, lovely to chat as always. Some great recommendations there. And guys, send us your questions for the people coming to FanFest. Send us your Bravo celebrity questions. Otherwise, I'm going to ask them stupid questions that are not meant to be serious. So give us.
What should we say to Dorinda? What should we say to Craig and Shep? You tell us. Tell us.
Yes, tell us because we don't know. We're overexcited. Well, Sophie, it was so good to see you, and we will be speaking in a week. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Love you. Mwah. This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Yagara, Turrbal, and Lutruwita peoples. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present.